Thank you guys so much for sticking around. My name's David Fear. I'm one of the seniors at Rolling Stone. I believe you know who she is. This is Lynn Ramsey, who just gave you this absolutely mind-blowing, mind-fuck surreal experience that you just went through. Congratulations on this.
Thanks.
So let's talk about how this came to you. You got a galley of Jonathan Ames' novel really early, right? Before it had come out in some places?
Yeah, it came out in France as an ebook, I think, or I don't even know if he'd finished it, but someone that I knew from who works with Jack Odiard and there's a company called Why Not, knew I loved genre stuff, and like this woman called Rosa Attab, who's actually one of the producers, she sent me it, but they didn't have the rights, so I just started writing it. I was in a Greek island and there was nothing to do, and it was in the winter, and there's no internet, and like there's one cafe that overlooks a volcano, and like I don't know, just like you can't use your mobile phone apart from in certain parts of the village, and so it was kind of good if you want to write, you know, and focus. It's a good place to write. So I just started writing it, and then 4 weeks later, I had a draft. You know, that was the first draft.
And you had Joaquin Phoenix in mind when you were writing Joe, right? I mean, besides being one of the best actors of his generation, what was it about him that made you think this guy could probably hit somebody with a hammer?
Well, he's on my screensaver before I even wrote scene one. And then I kind of telepathically willed him into the film, you know, like I kind of, you know, he's quite choosy. So I don't know, I just thought it would be, he'd bring us, like just like you've said, he's the best actor I think there is out there, and I knew he'd bring something that was like a vulnerability to it, and I think he brought something like a humanity to it, you know. He's not the six-pack guy. Look at the size of him in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yes, next time you see him, please thank him on behalf of all burly, bearded guys.
I thought.
Go ahead and tell him.
I thought Dave was him, and he'd like come up, like, because that's the kind of thing Joaquin would do. Just turn up at a theater in New York.
We did a Q&A before this, and she came up and she was looking at me like, "Is Joaquin Phoenix following me?" And then I hit somebody with a hammer. How did that first conversation go when you sort of talked to him about this project? What was his reaction?
He said he understood half of what I was saying, like 50% of what I was saying, and he just said yeah a lot. And I think that's how he came to agree to doing the movie, because he just went yeah, and he was in it, and that was that.
What's the experience of working with him like? I mean, as a director, working with him as an actor, I imagine he's incredibly collaborative. I imagine, like, you know, he'll give you different takes on stuff. There's so much amazing shit that he does in this film. Just as a director, you have to be like, I can't believe this. Like, what is he doing? This is amazing.
Well, I've never worked with an actor who showed up 7 weeks before the shoot, you know, like, when I had to see about 120 locations, so I was completely terrified. I was like, how am I going to have any time with him, you know? But he was building up like that before my eyes. It was like becoming this beast, you know, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, you know, and but yeah, like no, he's just amazing. Like I just love. I mean, we were always questioning everything, trying to push it a bit further, trying to make it more interesting, trying to say, is this cliche? Like let's defy those things that, you know, let's like. It was just the whole thing felt really risky and on edge, and that was great. You know, it was really exciting actually, and I think he likes working in a similar way. And no take was the same. I mean, that bit where he punches the drug dealer, he just did that. You know, I was like, what the fuck, you know? But you know, if you're the cast and if you're the crew are watching that as well, and we're all like, my God, this is, you know, like it was so exciting, the way this film was unfolding. And we only 29 days to shoot, so there wasn't a lot of takes, but I could have made Harold and Maude with just the stuff and with him and his mom, you know, so.
Yeah, there's gonna be another cut of this, right? That's just a comedy. It's just basically him and his mom tooling around New York.
Yeah, middle-aged hitman and mom movie, you know, 2 hours long, you know, singing songs, you know. But yeah.
The Psycho knife thing was an improv as well, right?
Yeah, you know, Judith Roberts is amazing. Like, she was actually in Eraserhead, you know, called The Beautiful Girl Across the Hall.
Oh my God, that's her?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She's amazing, and the two of them just hit it off, and she's just at that age where she's just like, I think she's just having great fun, and she's just like so brilliant. And but I was like, a lot of the stuff that wasn't in the book. It was like it was very sort of touched upon the relationship with the mom, and I felt that was something I really knew I wanted to expand. And then Joaquin and I talked a lot about that as well. When when you're it was quite like the relationship in the book was kind of like, he really loves his mom, and there's a beauty to that, and it was quite poetic. But we both were feeling like, when you live with someone like elderly that you're taking care of, and like how like you love them, but they're so frustrating. So we kind of riffed on that. So all that stuff where the fridge scene is like, sorry mum, but like that's my mum just like puts all her stuff in the fridge, and like you're trying to throw shit out, and she's like, no, that's still good, that's still fresh. So some of that, and then the cycle thing kind of came from another thing my mum does a lot. She watches TCM, and she knows a lot of good movies, and she watches like thrillers and horror films, and and she turns them up really loud even though she's not deaf, and she's got 2 TVs going at the same time. So you're like, oh my God, So I just asked Judith what she thought she'd be watching, and she just, the first take, she just said, Psycho was on today, And then he went, ee, ee, ee. And I was like, that's the take I'm going to use. But then that ee, ee, ee cost £15,000, And then we used it twice, so it cost £30,000.
They didn't give you a discount for doing it twice?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. What a nightmare, But I had to use that take,
Let's talk a little bit about the elliptical nature of this story. When you were putting this together, were there conscious decisions to be like, well, I'll allude to the fact that he was a cop, but I'm not going to really explain, why. And we'll, put in scenes where you could tell that he had gone through something really traumatic as a kid, but I'm not going to have a scene where he goes, this was what happened to me when I was a kid, and then explain it in a 15-minute monologue.
Yeah, I just thought this guy's head's full of broken glass, and he's got post-traumatic stress, like in his life. And I think the way that recurs is just like images pop into your mind in the most banal sort of situations. So to me, it was like, in fact, the cut and can, because we just shot some stuff really late, I felt there was too much, I think it doesn't take that much. Like, you only need a few images, and I trust the audience will put the thing together, Otherwise, I just don't think it would work. It's not something I was trying to do in this. Yeah.
I like how it lends us this air of mystery to him in a lot of ways, where you don't know exactly what happened, but you can tell it was horrible and fucked up. Or that he was a soldier and a cop at one point, but you don't necessarily need to know, like, yeah, I was in the Brooklyn precinct 78, and I came across this dead family one night, and it scarred me. It makes it a much more interesting movie, especially when he goes into his psychotic state later on.
Hopefully. I hope so, because
yes. You'll be getting my therapist bill.
I don't think it was ever good like that. That was the kind of stuff we were trying to avoid, I guess. Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's talk about that action scene as done through surveillance cameras, because I can imagine a lot of other filmmakers would have shown that as one huge set piece, or they would have cut that thing to shreds. And with this, it's almost like you're glimpsing something you're not supposed to be looking at. And it's done so like, it's almost more of the aftermath of the violence as opposed to the violence itself.
Well, we thought we had like 3 or 4 days to shoot that scene, and then I had half a day, and I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to do that in like, anything, a big balletic Park Chan-wook sequence, like in 4 days, it's not going to happen like that. But, also, I was watching a lot of stuff on YouTube and thinking about violence, and, there's some stuff that was kind of semi-off screen where you'd see somebody hit somebody, but you wouldn't really see, you'd see an arm. Or so I thought that's interesting. And then I was thinking about the character and thinking, I need to make a second script about the violence in this. Like, it should be really mechanical at first, and then personal, hence the tooth and the mum, and then a kind of post-violence, like you don't even see what happens, you get it, and so it was a kind of light bulb moment, having my back against the wall. But I've never had a reshoot ever in any of my films, so I knew like it was really risky, because like if we didn't have the sequence, it's like quite an important sequence. So But I tested it and I thought about the sound, and I just went for it. But that was kind of like the whole lot of this film. It was like a seat of your pants kind of stuff, and Joaquin loves that. He loves to work like that as well, And so it was economy. Everything was really stripped back, really lean with it, and it was the same in the edit, really.
And
Sorry.
Angel Baby was originally a temp track you had over it, and you ended up using it, right?
Yeah, but that always happens to do it. Probably there are a few filmmakers here, but it's you put. It was the first thing I put on, and then I was like, yeah, I'll change that. Then I tried like 25 million tracks afterwards, and nothing worked as well. So, and then I'd done that time slice where you just cut pieces of the music. I thought, what if you actually make the cuts quite jarring, and you do it almost like, you've jumped to space and time. And it was really weird because that track kind of feels like it's still going forward, but there's something that messes with your mind in it. So, yeah, that we spent a long time doing the sound design in that sequence. Yeah.
The sound design in this movie is out of this world. It's so good. I want to talk about Johnny Greenwood's score too, but let's talk about the design first. What were the sort of discussions you had with your sound designer about I want it to feel like these voices are coming from his head, or kind of coming into the soundtrack and bleeding in, and I want this kind of ambient noise of New York, which feels like its own character here, kind of coming in and out of the sound.
Well, we talked about the sound really early on, like at script stage, and I was writing stuff. I mean, not, and still trying to make the script exciting, but sound was mentioned. But then in prep as well, after living in this island that had a village that had no cars, I come to New York and I'm closing my eyes and I'm under an L train or something, thinking, fuck, this is what madness sounds like, and so that kind of thing bled into what it became. And so I talked to the sound designer about heightening the sounds, and then one day I was sitting in, I think I was having a nervous breakdown in my backyard in Brooklyn. It was pitch black, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I've only got 2 weeks to go in this, and I've got the half a day for that sequence, and blah blah blah, and having this moment, and then suddenly I started to hear all these explosions, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And I realised that I'd lost track of time, and it was the 4th of July, but I couldn't see the fireworks. So I just kind of recorded them, and it was like, God, that's I don't know, it was just this amazing sounds. And I gave it to Joaquin and was like, that's what you hear in your head every day. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, do you get that? And he's like, yeah. I don't know if he did. So loads of that stuff was really organic. But I worked with an amazing sound designer called Paul Davis, and we've worked in every movie, so he knows my films really well. And so, and also Johnny Greenwood's engineer who works with Radiohead and stuff, and Radiohead and stuff as well. He edited the music, Johnny's music. So the sound designer and the editor were working together. Do you know what I mean? So that, and I don't do you have to persuade people sometimes, but I need to cut when I'm editing. I need to work on the sound as well. I don't put it just on at the end. So we would do a picture cut, then we do we do work on the sound work would inform the picture cut, and then the music we got from Johnny, which was getting a present every day. We were people thought we were insane in our cutting room, because we were running up and down the corridor when we got music. We were going, oh my God, this is awesome, you know what I mean? And it was just this music's so great. But they're not scored to picture, they're just inspired by, so you get a 20-minute piece or something, So it was all very much in the sound design and the music being kind of organically linked together, so yeah.
It's such a great propulsive score, and you had said something earlier where the score actually mirrors the character in a lot of ways, because you think it's going to go left and then it just makes a hard right.
Yeah, I gave him Johnny was in tour with Radiohead. I didn't know if he could do it, but I was like, it was a bit like Joaquin's picture. I'm like, he's going to do it. I know he's going to do it, and so I just gave him the first 5 minutes, and then got a bit more, and I think he, so he was seeing the thing unfold chronologically. And so the score started becoming like Joe, you think you know what it is, you think you're in one thing, and it just kind of goes somewhere else and kind of implodes. And by reel 4, which is the last reel, he was like, man, that reel's bonkers. And you know what I mean? It's crazy, and I think, we were really, kind of cooking gas at that point, yeah. So.
Before I turn this over to the audience for your questions, let's talk about the ending for a second. Let's go through the thought process of that. It's such a haunting ending in so many ways, and the way you just sort of let it play out when you think that he's actually taken his life in this diner, and then you just kind of hear the sound and everything happening around it before you realize what's happening. It's just such a brilliant way to end this movie. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Again, it was a bit like the surveillance scene, like but I actually had the idea it doesn't happen very often. It only happens a few times, like, but you just sometimes get these. The scene popped into my head. I had no idea where I was going to put it, if it would be the end scene, but it felt to me like it should be the end scene, and so that it just kind of came, like, just through, I guess, thinking about his suicidal tendencies, and also thinking about he really wanted to do it all the way through here, and he doesn't. You know what I mean? And there been some kind of hopeful at the end, or bringing him back to life, bringing him back to the present tense, you know, a bit like a Lazarus story, I guess, like, you know. So, and it's the girl who does it, you know what I mean? Like, so you know, that I don't know, like, just like it's hard to you know, but anyway, I can't talk about it.
No, but it is hopeful. It's a weird thing. It's such a dark movie in so many ways, and yet when you get to that end, especially after this violent act you've seen that you realize hasn't actually happened. And then he just feels like it's almost like he's been reborn in a weird way. And it feels hopeful as you go out of it. I mean, I think the fact that you guys, I should warn you guys, you're going to be humming If I Knew You Were Coming, I Would Have Baked a Cake for about 4 days now. If you're anything like me.
It's a really annoying track when you hear it over and over again, probably.
Picture you in the editing room being like, oh, God, this again.
No, I love it. I love that track. But anyway.
Do we have any questions in the audience? Go right ahead, sir.
I wanted to ask, when you're writing, are you writing to a theme, or are you kind of just following the characters and see where they take the story?
Yeah, I don't think I'm writing to a theme, but I'm kind of trying to uncover something, you know. So, you know, I think I was getting to the bottom of what I was really trying to do with this movie, and I thought I was making this pulpy B noir and action movie, and then I did what I always did do, which is actually make a character study, you know, like. But I still thought I was doing that probably when I was shooting it. But so I think more and more it became more interesting for me just to get into his mind, you know, and try and make it really immersive, and like to ignore all those things that are like, you know, when I hate when you see the synopsis of this film. It's like, it reads like, that's not that movie, and that I haven't even seen Taken, you know, like, you know, fucking hell. I heard Liam Neeson's really good though, you know, but so, you know, if you boil it down to that, I don't think it really does it justice. Like, it's just like you have to go inside, you know, I hate when people do this kind of synopsis, you know, but I think more and more it was becoming a bit of a trip, really. A bit of a hallucinate, you know, like a bit of like just immersing myself right in that character and thinking about him as a much more like a fallible man who can he doesn't save the girl. He's not the guy that can rise in. There's not the big retribution scene. It's like the most anticlimactic climax, you know, probably, you know. So yeah, I think it's just about uncovering stuff, like, you know, finding what you're really interested in, you know, because you know, I don't. This is an adaptation, but it's really not. You know, I mean, it's become its own thing. You know,
It's funny.
I write a lot of sounds in and images. The whole opening sequence was totally, you know, you don't see his face. You know, like but I won't say it like that. It'll be more like, you know, just describing the mystery of it, I guess. You know.
Another question? Go right ahead.
So there's a lot of shots in this film that kind of focus on the tactile world, the close-ups of objects. Curious, what was the choice to have those shots in?
I think that sometimes those kind of shots, like just like some details, can sort of I think maybe it comes from, I used to be a photographer, so sometimes you look at things and you see something that sort of says something about something, you know, like one shot, and it's to do with economy as well. Like, you know, there's a shot where he touches his mum's feet, you know, after, you know, all that, well, you know what happened. Anyway, you know, but someone brought up, there was a shot in my first film, Ratcatcher, as well, where he touches his mum's feet and she's got like a hole in her stocking and he tries to always make it better. But it was like, it's like you can express things like love or, you know, or a feeling in just one thing. And to be honest, I've always had so short shoots, you know, and I've had to just really always think in things that can tell something big in a very, in one shot, something, you know. And a lot of this was me and the DP sitting, like at 4 a.m, going, shit, we've only got like half a day to do something massive, or like even underwater stuff. Like, so, and I'm like, the puzzle is like, how do we do it in 5 shots? And then I'm like, how do we do it in 3 shots? How do we do it in 2 shots? So it's a way of thinking, I think, that brings everything down to like a detail being an emotion, I guess, you know, like, and it's hard to describe, I guess, but I just think like that, you know.
You're kind of known for how you mix professional actors with non-professional actors. Like, what's your process of casting all that? Because everybody in this movie is perfect, basically.
Thanks very much. I think it's just, I mean, actually, the kid that gets roughed up, you know, where he gets the number to go into the brothel or the house or whatever, he was in the art department, you know. And and he just reminded me of the actor, you probably know his name, you know, in that film The Warrior, you know, like the Warriors, you know.
The Warriors, the
Yeah.
New York gang movie?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
one, you know, the guy that goes, Warriors come out to play, and that really, you know,
Yeah.
he looked really like him, and I'm like, he had a really interesting face, and so I just was like, would you come in for a casting, you know? And he's like, what? And he was brilliant, and but then when he did the scene, like, because I thought I was going to shoot this in the fall, I was like, in your nice projection of like, oh, it's a nice season, you know, that's the best time in New York and stuff. Of course, we're shooting it in like in June or July, and it's horrifically boiling, and everyone's passing out, you know, and so that poor kid from the art department, Ryan, you know, Joaquin really roughed him up, you know. So all the sweat in that scene's for real, and you can never. One thing I've learned is that you can never really kind of, no matter how brilliant a makeup artist, you can never really recreate those things. So I think with casting, it's all about being aware. It's like maybe that person, you know, they've got something interesting about them. Ratcatcher, I saw thousands of kids, and then the kid I chose for the main part happened to come in like with as a friend of somebody that wanted to do it, and he's like, nah, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be in a film. Nah, that's so, you know, it's just like looking like, you know, and just finding cool people. Like in terms of actors, I've just worked with such cool actors. I mean, Tilda Swinton's like, she's amazing. She's like, she says things like, can you just show my back fat a bit more? You know, that bit under the bra where it kind of, it's just a bit more authentic. Like, so just show the, you know, like, and she's just cool. And he's amazing. Who comes 7 weeks before a shoot, you know? And, or, you know, I don't know, I've just been really lucky. And Samantha Morton, like when I was filming her, I didn't know when, and the same with him, I didn't know when to say cut, you know, and I was shooting Morven Callan, and it was in film, you know, and the producer was behind me breathing down. I was like, why does that producer keep coming up behind me? And it was like the reels of film stock going through while Samantha Morton went to be Morven Callan, you know. And I just couldn't say cut, because it was just like amazing. It was mesmeric, you know. So, you know, but it's fine. I didn't shoot a lot of other stuff, you know, other than I shot a lot. I don't shoot a lot of coverage, so I think you just go with your instinct and also off the beaten path a bit. You know, even Samantha Morton's spotlight picture, you know, those actor pictures, I saw that before I met her, and it just looked like this. It's just a girl looking out the window of a train. It's not a glamour shot, and I'm like, she's it, you know. So just go with your gut instincts, and I think mix up a bit, and you know, try someone from the art department. You never know. Yeah.
And don't hire an actor that's going to impetuously like do the psycho noise so that you're $30,000 in debt.
That's true.
Go right ahead, gentlemen, right behind you.
Hi. I just wanted to mention when one of my cousins became pregnant, I sent her, we need to talk about Kevin and Rosemary's Baby. But
Good. Does she still like you?
yeah, she survived. But I wanted to know that violence in this film is really impactful and brutal, and it makes a lot of films feel very fake, the other films, and the effect seems practical. And I wanted to know what your ideas were going into filming and staging the violence and what you wanted the audience to feel.
Yeah, I've never done anything like with guns or any kind of action sequences, so it was kind of like, how the hell do you approach this, you know, and not make it like everyone, you know what I mean, like, there's a way that things, they operate for a reason, like, there's a certain way you cover it, there's a certain way you look at it. I think partly that I had to be economical was great, and like, maybe because I read a lot of graphic novels or something. I don't know. When I was a teenager, I don't know. Like, I could think in really sort of like quite economical kind of way about it, and I had a brilliant DP as well. But it was about, it all started to get the mise en scène, to get the way I'd shoot these scenes. Yeah, like it came from really Joe. It was like, there's only one handheld shot in the whole film, and that's in the scene where it looks up at the mirror, and that was the only time it was really an action sequence in a way, no more. But even that wasn't that straightforward, So I think I thought about it as like a second script, like of the violence, like, going back to this, like, where does this fit? Like, it's mechanical, it's personal, it's post-violence, and that gave me a logic, So yeah, like we boiled those scenes were really like boiled down to like 3 shots a lot of the time, But I knew I was going to do the thing in the mirror was like in the script, so that was like designed for that, like. But also you need to be really in the present tense and see how he's going to react, The poor focus puller, that's all I can say. Thanks very much, to the focus puller, because like Joaquin's not a guy to hit marks, do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, it was really exhilarating making action. Like, if you've never done an action sequence, this is fantastic. But I learned a lot from a film I never even made in the end. I'd like by thinking about all these great ideas, like, and stuff like that. It's just it's interesting to think about why does that work and why doesn't it work, or why does it look the same as everything else, or why are they always the same, So it was lots of questioning, really, and also just like thinking about where he was psychologically at the moment of in the film. Yeah.
We've got time for one more question. I'm gonna make this guy work. There's somebody on the aisle in the back, near the back, on your right-hand side.
I was curious when you said that you don't do any reshoots, when like reshooting is like more commonplace. How did that start?
Just not having ever any money or means to do reshoots. Like, just knowing that was that. I had that many days, and it was unlikely to get any more. But that it's good. It's a bit like shooting in film or whatever. Like, keep shooting your, I notice sometimes when people are shooting now, I saw a film crew recently. It was a friend of mine I happened to be going past, and the crew were running into the shot and stuff like that, and they're like, and the actors are doing millions of takes because it's digital, and you're like, it just feels a bit lazy, that there's something good about being in your toes a little bit, It's like, rather than we can just shoot forever, just because it's this medium. And then you end up with loads of rushes as well, and you've got hardly any time to cut it, so it's just like, it's a different way of thinking, I guess. But yeah, I've learned that I don't normally get a second shot, you know what I mean? Like, so lots of friends that are directors going, yeah, I'm reshooting that thing. I'm like, fuck you bastard, like. But I don't mean that really. I'm happy for them, but I'm envious. Yeah,
fuck those people.
No, fuck those people.
Fuck those people and their fucking reshoots. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. Thank you so much for this movie.